All right, people, I know I'm late to this party about this whole TikTok being banned, but I'm going to draw and talk about it, right? That's the whole point of Stylo Convo. So let's just jump right into this, all right? Read this article by CNN, right? They call it fake news, but let's just read it, all right? So, still the congressman was among 352 members who voted in favor of getting rid of this pop-up ad. Get out of here, pop-up ad. All right, so 352 members in favor of legislation that could lead to a nationwide ban of the app, which has amazed 36 million likes on since the passage of the bill in the House. TikTok users have flooded the comment section in his recent videos, criticizing Jackson for a recent vote and vowing to unfollow him. The number of followers of Jackson has appeared to have gone down in recent weeks. All right, so let's just read this. I don't think TikTok is going to be banned. You don't think? It's not going to be banned, people. Spoiler, it's not going to be banned. TikTok ain't going to be banned. I'm not a big fan of TikTok, but I will talk about that afterwards. The video received several negative comments along the side. I said along the side. Remember, I'm like looking down, drawing now at this point, right? Okay, let's do it. All right. Where am I? That's it. The bill was passed along of the House about telling TikTok they have to sell to another company. Where did I say along the side? All right, whatever. All right. I've repeatedly, the Chinese company that owns TikTok needs to sell their shares. The best case scenario is that TikTok continues to operate but is no longer owned. Interesting. So, okay, and potential controlled by an advertorial government. That's exactly what the legislation does. In an apology video on Saturday, Jackson stated, "I did not handle the situation well from the top to bottom, and that's why I have been completely roasted on this app." Roasted? That's interesting. Over the last 48 hours, he went on to give more of an explanation about the bill and his vote in favor of it. Okay. This is a very close issue that I did not take lightly and advertise action towards a service that is used by over half of all Americans. Representative Bill Bursell of New Jersey, whose office used the app to share information, said in a news release last week. But the United States has a right to regulate a social media company controlled by the hostile Chinese authoritarian regime that exercises broad power over American discourse and popular culture. Interesting. The Chinese Communist Party's ability to exploit private user data and to manipulate public opinion through TikTok presents serious national security concerns. Let me give you my opinion on that. Isn't that hypocritical? You have Facebook, you have Instagram. They do the exact same thing. They all do the same thing. Even YouTube. Everything on social media, your information is theirs because you have signed on the terms and agreements. So if China's doing the same thing, and what information are they taking from you? They're most likely doing global surveys to see the retention rate and what people are into. So it's more of like pulling your emotions just to feel like it's us against them, when in reality, like, America is doing the same thing with their own companies that's out there on social media via, for example, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even LinkedIn. Like, the moment you sign up on these platforms, your information is theirs, and they sell your information and make money off of that through third parties. The question of a ban. A few of the representatives who voted, and mind you, I'm not even into politics, this is just common sense. Like, all of these companies, they all do that, by the way. All right, a few of the representatives who voted in favor of the bill have emphasized that it is not meant to be a ban of TikTok. No, it's just you strong-arming the company TikTok for them to bow down to Americans, because they realize that, oh, holy crap, TikTok is more popular than our own Instagram/Facebook. and we need to regulate that because we don't want them to be more powerful than us. So we want a piece of that pie. The Chinese government remains the most active and persistent cyber threat to the United States. Cyber threat. You see how they, interesting how they use these words like terrorist, right? Cyber threats, cyber attacks, right? Interesting. This is, again, pulling off of your emotional strings to make you feel like they're the bad guys. And I'm not saying they're not, and I'm not saying that they are, right? I'm not saying that they're not, I'm not saying that they are. But what I'm saying is that when you pull people's emotional strings, that's the whole point of politics, is to manipulate the masses. Other representatives have acknowledged the staff's use of the application. Whatever said in the statement on X, which is Twitter. Oh yeah, I forgot about Twitter. Another one too, right? With Elon Musk. It is important to recognize that I benefit from TikTok's ability to reach. I'm a candidate who use for TikTok, whatever, who is running to succeed. The Debbie, blah, 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 MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell on Thursday. Most of us want TikTok to be available, right? Actually, I'll give you my opinion later on. You don't think I have nieces and nephews? Well, okay. And staff who are on TikTok who love it? Of course. I do not want to ban it. I just want the Chinese government controlling. I just don't want the Chinese government to control the data. Well, it's their platform. So the issue that I'm hearing from, think of it like this. You have this amazing garment, right? You love this garment. You recommend it to others, and everybody's wearing the garment, right? They're wearing this whatever apparel. Then they realize later on that it was made by China. So now you want to regulate that. You want things to be made by America. You want America made. So by doing that, you want Americans to go in those sweatshops and to make sure they're not doing anything nefarious, like adding some sort of anthrax. Remember that with the back then? Oh, wow, some people don't remember because they was even born, or maybe they was born around that time. There was a scare after the whole 9/11 attack that anthrax was being issued upon our mail, our envelopes, right? So whenever we get mail, people were skeptical because the anthrax is like some weird chemical powder substance will be inside your mail. So the moment you open it, you have a chance of getting sick and passing away. That was a thing back then, and that was a scare. A lot of people thought that was real, and it was, I'm not saying it wasn't, but it was an exaggeration, making Americans believe that a lot of the terrorists out there in the Middle East they infiltrated and they obtained our envelopes and our mail, and then when you get something you can pass away. Like, I feel like a lot of this stuff here, again, is just a lot of scare tactics. Like, so by saying cyber attacks and all this stuff, like or should I say any company that is developed through online platforms, you can always use that, like, oh, these people can use cyber attacks, oh, they're taking our information. Like, well, that's already happening in-house in American soil. Your information is being sold. Like, human beings are stock. Our information is being sold day by day. So what they're pretty much saying is that, no, we want to have our information being sold, and we don't want China to do the same thing that we're doing. Well, I have my take on TikTok. Let me just read a little bit more, and then I'll give you my opinion. Okay, so let's read the rest of it. Let's just read this paragraph right here. All right. This process was secret, and the bill was jammed through for one reason. It's a ban. We are hopeful that the Senate will consider the facts, listen to their constitutions. Okay, I'm bugging. And realize the impact on the economy. 7 million small businesses and the 170 million Americans who use our service, a TikTok spokesperson said in a statement. Communications. Along the House member who have hoped the app for campaigning purposes, several members use the app through their office to discuss the latest. Okay, so pretty much what it's saying in a nutshell is that we love this app. We like this app. We don't want this app to be removed. However, we don't want China to have all this power with this app. See, power is something that it can be extremely developed. See, it's interesting because if TikTok wasn't as popular, then the government wouldn't care. But because it's popular, everyone uses it, even the government uses it. They just don't like that they are sucking on the titty of China. They want to suck on their own titty. Just to put it in a nasty perspective, but I'm just making it easy for people to understand. They want to suck on their own. They don't want to rely on a different country. And then they don't want to feel as if this country has more power. I mean, newsflash, they do, because a lot of our apparel, a lot of the stuff that we purchase is overseas through China. And China still has sweatshops. America do not have child labor. China do. China created this device. It's funny because with TikTok in China, it's not the same as TikTok here. The best analogy, I'm just giving you an analogy, okay, is if you ever lived in New York, and they have it in other places too, not just New York, also Chicago, they have a lot of Chinese food restaurants, right? Takeout spots, right? Chinese food takeout. The food that they provide for people is not the same with the food that they eat. The food that they provide for people has a lot of American cuisine elements that are very, very addicting, and it makes you want to go there almost every single day. However, they do not consume that. So what am I saying in relevance to TikTok? The TikTok in China do not have grungy people shaking their butts. People want to be TikTok influencers. A lot of stuff is catered towards the educational side, like how to do this, how to learn how to do this, how to learn how to do that. It's very informative. Whereas the TikTok here is very grungy. It's very drama bait. It's just all over the place, right? And then you're constantly consumed by that. It's like a whole gumbo, so to speak. So that's exactly what's going on here. There's a huge difference. And again, when it comes down to America, they want to have the piece of the pie. Just like if you're trying to build up a business in America, congratulations, you build up the business. However, the bigger you get, you're going to have to deal with the government. They're going to want more of the piece of the pie. And if you don't comply with them, then you will be in the penitentiary. Now, what's interesting is that this is overseas. But since this is a worldwide phenomenon that people are addicted to more than Facebook, more than Instagram, more than X, right? Or Twitter, whatever they call it. That's what makes the government feel like, okay, we love this platform. You see, this is all politics, the way they're talking. We love this. We're not saying for it to be canceled. They have to say that, because if they're saying we want it to be canceled, but then they'll get canceled, right? They'll lose their popularity. They won't get their votes in. They don't get that, and things of that nature. So they have to cater towards people's addiction towards it. So by them saying that, again, politics, they're manipulating the people. Yeah, we love TikTok. We just don't want it to be in the hands of the Chinese people who created it. I'm like, but they created it. Like, that's the funny part about it. It would have been a different story if Americans created it, but Chinese funded it, and now Chinese government owns it. No. It's a private company in China that created the platform, and people are addicted to the platform. Just like Chinese food. People are addicted to Chinese food. But the difference is that with Chinese food, it's physical, and you have to be in the U.S. in order to make a lot of money. So the government is already regulating that, right? Because it's in U.S. soil. This is the internet. It's in the internet web. It's in the internet. It's not physical. It's not tangible, right? The only thing that's tangible is your phone. But just like YouTube, not tangible. These platforms aren't tangible. So they want to have that. And that's what's happening here. So let me go into my opinion, as you guys see here. Now, I drew TikTok. Oh. All right, so now I'm going to talk about it, right? My opinion, TikTok is a drug. Just like Chinese food, right? It's so addicting, and it's not good for you. They don't consume that, but they're giving it to us. And instead of the government saying, you know what, this is not healthy for us. This is also, it's not even healthy for children. Like, why are kids have access to this? And I'm one of those people. I know people are going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but I'm being honest. You shouldn't be 14 or 13 or 10 years old having access to the internet, as far as like making a social media profile or going on to social media. I personally think you should be at least, 16 or 18? I'll say 17, right? When you're more of in consent of being a young adult. Otherwise, it's awkward. Like, why? It's not even just awkward, but it's like you're a kid. You're being exposed to a lot of things, and you start mimicking the things that you think is considered cool. That's one of my biggest issues. It shouldn't be banned in its entirety, but it should definitely be regulated in terms of, I even would say more in terms of kids. Like, kids should not have access to TikTok. Shouldn't be a kid being on TikTok. I remember back in the days they had Musical.ly. I remember Musical.ly? And then it was like mimicking the music. Like, come on, that's just opening child trafficking, in my opinion. It really is. Because now it's easy access for these predators to be like, oh, okay, I can figure out where this person lives. Oh, wow, this little kid here. And then they could just easily pretend to be, to make a profile acting like they're a kid, have a fake picture of them being a kid, right? A fake kid picture. Be like, oh, where you from? Alexa, stop. They'd be like, yeah, where you from? Okay, I would like to meet you here. It's just like, what? So, that's crazy. Give me 1 second. Let me actually switch it up here. But yeah, as I think that's a bigger issue. But unfortunately, people don't talk about that. They talk more about it being banned. It's not being banned. Honestly, this is just a scare tactic, in my opinion. This is a scare tactic. It's a scare tactic that they want China to react like, oh my God, they're gonna do this to us. Okay, so I guess we gotta give our rights. We gotta make the government, the U.S. government, to step in because of what? Oh, because they're afraid that we're gonna do cyber attacks. Like, and then your information is breached. Like, well, first of all, newsflash for everybody out there, all your information and all these platforms are breached. In fact, even with YouTube, if you want to be partnered with YouTube and you want to you want to have links, right? Now they have this thing with YouTube where you have to send in your ID. You have to send in your ID or your driver's license. So you have to give up your information, send it to them so it could be verified so they could give you a link. But of course they're going to say it's for your protection. It's for your protection. That's why it's your protection. We're just doing it because we want to protect you. No. Information is more than currency itself. It's regulation. It's just translation. We just noticed that you guys are making more money than us, and we want a piece of the pie. And if you say no, well, then we're gonna smear you by saying all these allegations that TikTok has got all your information and they're plotting doing this and that. So if they put you in a negative light that you're doing something that is illegal or ruining, ultimately going to try to ruin your reputation. And unfortunately, even if they try to do that, the only thing they could do is say something like they're a bunch of terrorists or something crazy like that. If they're not, then the kids out there is not going to care. They're only going to care if you literally shut it down. You see, the whole shutdown of Facebook didn't bother the young kids out there. They're like, oh, Facebook is shut down? Whatever. But if TikTok is shut down, you're going to see a lot of mass hysterias out there. Like, people are going to be complaining. Why? Because it's more of an impact. There's a difference between Facebook and TikTok. TikTok is a drug. It really is. All these social media platforms is a drug. You're constantly scrolling over and over and over. But TikTok is even worse. And it's interesting because YouTube is literally just adapting to anything that's going on, that's popular, and YouTube is just a copycat. Even though YouTube copies, still people go on TikTok, regardless. So TikTok. Interestingly enough, with what's going on right now, TikTok is TikToking, right? So what do you guys think in the comment section below? You guys think that TikTok will be banned in the US? Would it be banned in general? Or do you think, nah, that's never going to happen? And also, do you think that children should not be on these social media platforms? They should wait until they're 17 as a consenting young adult. You think that's the case? Or do you think, nah, they should be on the platform? They could be 5 years old. As long as they got a smartphone, that's fine. All right. So that's it for the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.